Hello and welcome to another episode of Brand Retro. Before we bring the guest on or before we get her in here, I just want to break down this episode for you. This episode is really cool. This episode's about basically a woman who has experienced loss, and roughly, the description of this is, from a widow with two small children in a house that was falling down around her. She took that, made an uplifting situation and an uplifting story for herself where she found a way to pick up the pieces, literally picked up her husband's tools and found a way to chase her dreams. This woman is as tough as the tools she represents. You're going to love this episode. And without further ado, Jen Cline, aka Miss DeWalt. Jen, welcome to the podcast. What we do on the Brand Retro podcast is I typically talk about kind of the connecting the dots of personal branding, like corporate branding, and kind of where all that comes from. So the idea of branding, for Cyberdogz and what we teach our clients is that a lot of times it comes from a personal space, and it comes from a spot where we fall in love with the brand. Sometimes it's, if we're the creator of a brand, sometimes it's a matter of kind of cultivating and finding those things that are within us to say, hey, I want to create this business, or I want to create this brand, and here's what I want it to look like. Those ideas and those feelings that kind of go into that are all coming from a very personal place. So what we talk about on Brand Retro is, how do we tap into that? How do we remember that? How do we go back to that when necessary? And you being Miss DeWalt, I know you have a very personal tie to the DeWalt brand. So tell me a little bit about what that personal tie is and kind of how you got started.
Well, that actually started when the day I picked up my husband's tools following his accident and his death. I basically was left with an 1818 farmhouse that I suddenly was, I had to figure it out. I had to pick up his tools, and they were DeWalt tools. So that it's kind of like, when you have like a duck that hatches or something, like it's imprinting. So those were literally the tools I was picking up and teaching myself with. And then later on, as I started to build a handy reputation, that led to me making flags for police officers and veterans. And then that led to me winning a contest through them. So I almost feel like it was meant to be.
Was it very natural and organic how this all kind of came to be? I did watch your bio video on YouTube, and it seemed like the timing of everything and kind of how it fell together seemed very kind of in the stars or organic to some degree.
I believe this is my purpose. Yeah, I believe that absolutely. Now, I don't think that they see it yet, maybe, but I feel like that whoever came up with that contest, like I won that contest before they even put it out there for the masses to enter. Like I just knew it. The second that I signed up for it, I knew it was mine. So I really feel like whether they know it or not, I'm the woman that they're looking for to represent their brand.
Were you kind of on the track of Miss DeWalt prior to that, or was it the contest that kind of pushed you over the top that said, know what, I got something here?
Yeah, it was the contest. And it actually started as a little bit, it was a joke, if I can be honest with you, because at the time that I won, I was working as a grand jury coordinator at a courthouse for a local county. And almost all of the people that were coming in to testify were police officers. So I was like in the trenches with these people that I consider heroes, and I got to know all of them. But they were the ones afterwards that started joking and calling me Miss DeWalt after I won that contest.
So what changed for you afterwards? Did you come home and kind of think, hey, I got something here and here's how I'm going to, kind of approach it? Or did it just continue to be an organic process for you?
I think it just kind of continued. People just started calling me that. Like I said, it was a joke. And then I was like, you know what? It's kind of funny. I'm going to own it. And then all of these feelings of, hey, you really need to put yourself out there for the next generation, because I think I started to realize that how one-sided, like I won that, and I know that they thought just by what the prize was, like there was a big belt buckle that's like they just, I think, assumed a guy was going to win it.
Yeah.
So I started to realize after that I needed to break stereotypes, and I did request a catalog from one of my friends that works for DeWalt. And when I got it, this was like the catalyst for me. I opened it up and there was not one single woman in it.
Yeah.
So I have that actually right here on my workbench. That was the moment I decided that my goal, one of them in life, was to be the first woman in their catalog. So I went through here and I took pictures of myself and put them in the pages. And then one day I was having a low moment and I was listening to Joel Osteen. And he was talking about how like you have to proclaim what you want. And I went to say out loud, and I don't mean to get emotional, but it was an emotional moment. I went to say out loud, I want to be the first woman in the catalog, but it came out on the cover. I was like, you know what, maybe I'm not dreaming big enough. So here I am.
Yeah.
So until that happens, like that is my goal. I want to be the first, but then I want to open the door for my other sisters.
Yeah. Well, kudos to you. And I think I told you this when we originally met, that your story kind of inspired me to kind of dig deeper and to reach out to you and want to hear not only more of your story, but for you to share it with us on the podcast. And I believe what we talked about on that first call was just the idea of willing this thing into existence. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, when did you start this, by the way? Is this a couple years ago, a year ago?
I don't know as far as wanting to work with them.
Yeah, like when you won the contest and kind of what the journey's been since then.
Yeah, that's been about maybe a little over 3 years.
Okay.
And it's just all just kind of naturally evolved. But, you know, after my husband's been gone 12, almost 13 years. In July, it'll be 13. But during that time, I became more spiritual and just realizing how we're all connected. And I became aware of the law of attraction. And I totally believe that, because I've actually done it a couple times. And then once you've done it, you're like, okay, I can do it again. And then you can make that dream come true. And then they're like, okay, next one. So this is the current one that I have in front of me. And I know it sounds goofy, but like for the last 3 years with each step, I've been like, when I make a conscious thought, I'm like, I've been saying with each step or with each repetitive motion, whether I'm hammering nails or whatever, I keep repeating to myself, I am Miss DeWalt. I climb the steps, I am Miss DeWalt. I'm just putting that out there, and I'm going to let the universe do what it is meant to do.
Yeah, and I'll be honest with you. I have no decision-making power at DeWalt, but with what you're doing, I don't see why it's not possible. I mean, you're putting the content out there. I think obviously you've kind of made your own steam in this process.
Yeah.
I know you're climbing this mountain, but I personally feel like it's just a matter of time before it happens, because
I do too.
You're on your way.
I do too. I do too. They're either going to sue me. Yeah, one of two things. They're either going to sue me, or they're going to say, you know what? We like what she's doing. She's obviously like a pit bull that's not going to go away. And our customers are accepting her. And maybe we got to just work with her and see what happens. Because, you know, influencer marketing is so huge that I actually feel like people expect that brands will reach out to other customers in that way. I think it just makes sense.
I don't think there's any question that with social media and what that's brought to the marketplace as far as brand lovers go, when you're a people's champion or you're somebody that's just championing a brand because you love them for whatever reason,
right?
I don't know. I mean, you've got all the leverage in the world to continue to do what you're doing because you're a customer, you're a user, and there's no promotion beyond that, really, you know.
Right.
So tell me a little bit about the influencer side, because, you know, obviously there's TikTok, there's YouTube, you're doing videos, you're doing projects. You are the keeper and the narrator of your own story at this point. Tell me a little bit about that journey and how you've had to pick that up.
Well, it's a lot of work. It's constant work. I'm constantly thinking of, I mean, before we got on this call, I've already shot, I already did one video. I'm shooting footage because I'm doing a project. So I've already got like 2 for today, at least, maybe a third. I mean, it's just a constant thing that you're doing.
Is that the daily?
I really love it.
Is that the daily routine? Are you constantly shooting content?
Yeah, all the time. Or watching other people, watching trends. You know, you might wake up one day and on TikTok, like for instance, they had like a Dirty Diana Michael Jackson song. That was the trend. And I'm like, okay, it only has 18,000 videos. I need to jump on it now.
Yeah. So
So
that's
I
pretty
did
cool
one.
that
Yeah.
you're actually watching the trends and trying to ride those waves too.
And putting my own twist on it.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't know if you've seen it yet, but they had like where the song's playing and they have the creators where they have like the halo light. So you're actually shooting your camera. You do know what I'm talking about? You're
Yep.
nodding. Okay. So
Yep.
I did it but with a woodworking twist because I had a scarf on. So it looked like I was kind of glamorous. And I had like my, sawdust in a cookie tray underneath my camera with, like the sawdust was lit. So it was smoldering. So I had my smoke and then I've got my air compressor here and I'm blowing. So it makes my hair look like it's blowing in the wind. Then at the very end, you can see where I turn on the lights and you can hear my air compressor and you can tell that and I'm in my overalls and that scarf is just, so you only saw this much of me. So I like seeing what is going on and going, all right, how can I put what I do and interject that into that trend?
That's pretty cool. So like one thing I feel like I can say from having been in the retail industry, when you're working with retailers, I mean, they're focused on this, on the retail side of it. They're focused on the sales, they're focused on the numbers, they're focused on, and not that they don't have social media teams and marketing teams that are working on stuff, but it's a big machine. And there are a lot of times they're working ahead in the process. So they sometimes miss out on the organic or the trendy type stuff because they've already blown past that because they're working
Yeah.
on the next season. I would say that's probably an edge that you're bringing to this, that in some ways you're probably ahead of the curve of even, whatever marketer or whatever person is working on it on the DeWalt side. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree. And I understand from their standpoint that they have an image to protect. And they can still do their print ads and everything and look very professional, but allow creators like me to be fun and to have people see their tools that maybe wouldn't necessarily otherwise.
Yeah, and I think it's good for them to see the abstract. Like you said,
Yeah.
you've got that catalog in there that's now full of you, but when you originally had that catalog, it was all full of guys, and
Yeah.
there was no females in it. And all of a
Right.
sudden, it's somebody who's got a story that not only took a bad situation, but picked up those tools to rewrite the narrative of how that story is gonna end. So
Correct.
I don't think there's anything. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what conversations you've had, but I would think they would be championing your efforts all day long because it's a great story and it's a great narrative, and the fact that you've attached that narrative to their brand is
Yeah.
a huge benefit to them.
And it's a true story. And I found, like, even with my posts, when I put them out, the ones do the best are when I tell my own personal story and my struggles and the good and the bad and the ugly. And I feel like most people want to see like a Rocky story. Like they want to see somebody who overcame adversity, and like they could either create a marketing campaign where they make up a fictional character, or they can actually use me. And like, what can you imagine? Like if they started putting that out in the public, like a press release or doing their own little video, because they do stories a lot of times. If they said, look, this is a woman who didn't know how to use tools at all, who picked them up after her husband's death, who makes flags for heroes, who won a contest. And because they changed my life. So they can say how, our lives were both changed and now look what she's doing and all of that. And I really think that they could go very far with that. I mean, who knows what would come of that?
The thing about it is it's a story of authenticity, because unfortunately life happens and people go through stuff, and it's how you respond to that. So yeah, I think I think you've completely nailed it by organically doing what you've been doing, but also identifying the fact that this is now becoming a personal brand for you.
Yeah.
It seems like, well, it could be somewhat commercialized because of the DeWalt thing, and it's like, well, not necessarily, because all of that was just ingredients in her story as it was. She was just smart enough to extract those pieces that were marketable and able to share and get traction out of. Because
Yeah.
that's the beauty of what you're doing on social media, I think, is that the awareness and the traction that you're building is getting your story out there, which is a great story. And it's a
Yeah.
story of adversity, and it's a story of, not quitting. So
Thank you. Thank you. And what better influencer could you have than someone that genuinely loves your products? I'm not just taking things because people are sending them to me. It's like, this is what I really use and what I really recommend. Yeah, I feel like they would be smart to go with someone that is that passionate.
yeah.
My license plate says Ms. DeWalt. I mean, that's how much I believe in what I want to do and what I'm doing.
Well, at this point, I'd say you have no rivals. So you're officially Miss DeWalt in my eyes. So
thank you.
Tell
People
me,
all over the world are tagging me, and that is the coolest thing. On Instagram, I get tags by people. Milwaukee people are tagging me. They're like, "Hey, we need you to work for us." Like, people are saying things like that all day long. And I share their videos and their posts in my stories, because I'm like, you know what? If they want to tag me, I don't care if they use another brand. We're all one at the end of the day. But yeah, I think it's really cool that people are tagging DeWalt Tough, and then they're tagging me.
But that's what's kind of nice, is you're able to kind of live in between worlds to some degree, because you're your own thing. You are your own brand at this point, which is pretty powerful.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what 2021 looks like for you. Are you going to continue to go down this road? Are you going to invest more time in TikTok? Like, what's your plan?
TikTok is very fun. I love doing that. And probably what I need to do more of is YouTube videos. I really need to step up those. So because that's where that's kind of my bread and butter. That's where I make more money. But TikTok for me is more fun, and it takes less work.
Yeah. They're a little quicker, a little bit more organic.
Yeah. Like my goofy side comes out definitely in TikTok. And I do share a few of those onto YouTube as well, but the formatting is different, with the vertical and horizontal. But yeah, I really do like that. And I'm getting approached by other companies that are kind of in line with what I do. Like, I think I mentioned when we spoke that I have a box company that is interested in using me as like a bridge to bring their boxes to makers. Yep. So they've set up a whole website. It's called Brick and Seal, because that size, that type of box in the industry is known as a brick, like a shipping brick. So it's Brick and Seal. So I've had deals like that come to where these people are watching me. I didn't even know that they were out there. And that's kind of neat. So yeah, I'm taking other offers as well as I'm waiting for the one that I really want.
You've got our support, and I want you to know too, if there's anything Cyberdogz can do to help you, whether it be consulting, marketing, website, whatever, just let us know, and we would be more than happy to support you, because we love what you're doing.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on. It's been an awesome conversation. And, if you're open to it, I'd love to have you on again.
I would love that. I will. Yeah. Hopefully I have a really happy update to give you. So.
All right. Well, we'll see what we can do. Maybe we can make this happen for you.
All right. That would be awesome.
All right. Thank you.
Alrighty.
If you'd like to learn more about Cyberdogz, share your thoughts, or even ask a specific question about this episode and/or the brand retro mindset, contact me directly at mike@cyberdogzmarketing.com.